welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Diane, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Original Sprout. Original Sprout carries safe, effective, and pediatrician-tested shampoos, conditioners, styling, and body care products produced and packed in California, US of A. And today's episode is also brought to you by Milky's. Milky's makes handcrafted keepsakes from your breast milk, a lock of hair, or umbilical cord. And I want to let you know, before we head back to Diane, that you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and scroll down and sign up for our email list, and you will be sent our episode every Monday, so you don't have to search us out. You can also find all of the show notes there of each of our episodes. And right now, Diane has our review of the week.
Yes. Here it is. So today's review of the week, this is actually a very recent review of the week. I tend to bebop around. So if you haven't heard me mention yours yet, do not despair, because I will get to them. I will get to them all. But this one says, thank you for your therapy session. Thank you for your honesty and help with breastfeeding. It has been therapeutic listening to the podcast, even though most of my problems are hopefully behind me now, with an 8-month-old baby nursing great. Hearing other traumatic birth stories made me realize I was not alone. I'm so glad help like this is out there now for new moms. I've even emailed with Diane, and her advice has given me confident boost in my baby's growth too. I am breastfeeding my third baby now, and have been through many problems along the way, including weaning my oldest child early, 9 months, because of work and pumping and not enough support and knowledge. My third child spent a week in the NICU after birth, came home using calorie boost formula added to my milk to help him gain weight. A lactation consultant helped us to get to normal breastfeeding by the time he was 2 months old. But all this time, I have had remaining anxiety over his weight, even using a baby scale to weigh him daily at home for months. Anyway, I feel much more confident and I'm enjoying the laughs, and I feel like y'all are good friends now. So congratulations to you, because that's a really hard place to get to where you're like, when you have a rough start and you just want to be comfortable with where you are. But I chose this one. One of the reasons I chose this one is because she mentioned about having to go back to work and weaning her child early. So we're going to kind of talk about some of that stuff today.
Totally. And that anxiety of like, even having that scale of weighing your baby every day, like I didn't have access to a scale that weighed ounces, but if you do, oh my God, the temptation to weigh them every day and obsess about that and have anxiety about that. Oh my God.
I know.
That is real life right there.
Yeah. And sometimes moms will ask me like, should I get a scale? And I'm like, you will make yourself crazy if you get a scale. Like sometimes they're good, really good, especially like with the pandemic and people don't want to go to their doctors every couple days, and expose their baby to God, Lord knows what in the middle of this. And I get that, I get it. But when you're in a situation where your baby was in the NICU and everybody's worried about his weight, and then you start worrying more and more about the weight, like it's
really like a
hard.
Thermometer.
Yeah.
Like taking a temperature every 5 minutes. My doctor's like, don't do that. My doctor's like, don't take their temperature.
Yeah.
Go like feel them, watch them, look what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like don't like, whatever. It's like the same thing, you're just like obsessing. Anyway, I like so relate to that so much. I have to keep going on and on about it.
I know. So we get you, we feel you. And today we're going to talk about societal stuff.
Yeah, societal barriers. There's so many. And we're going to talk about like 5 of them, but there's so many of them. Societal barriers to breastfeeding, right? To just like getting started breastfeeding, to being able to breastfeed successfully, whatever that means for you.
Right.
There
to keep it going, sustain breastfeeding. It's just like there's so many barriers there.
So many. All the time. And the first one that we're going to talk about is shitty maternity leave.
Oh my God.
I mean, like you can see, like you see the rates of breastfeeding, right? Like this many people, I don't know that better than me probably what the percentages are, but this many people start off breastfeeding and then by like 3 months, it drops off. Like 6 months, 6 weeks, it drops off. 3 months, it drops off like in a huge way. And we know that that's related to going back to work.
Yes. It's like in our country here in the United States, we start off pretty strong at like, I just did the stats for a training that I did this week. So they're kind of right in my head. So we start off at like 80-ish%, 70-ish,
Wow.
75, 80. And that's for like any breastfeeding. So if a mom put the baby to the breast at any point in time after delivery, that's considered like going to the breast, for any breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty strong number, pretty high number. By 3 months, it drops to like 40%. I mean, it's a huge drop. And it's just insane. And it's all related to work.
It is related to work. And we happen to know that Black and brown folks are affected more drastically than white people are in this sense. Right. With going back to work. Sometimes people go back to work at like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Like
your vagina is throbbing.
Yeah.
If you had a C-section, my God, you still can't even like bend over.
And your baby's not sleeping, during the night. Well, they're sleeping, but, sporadic intervals, and you're up half the night with them, and you're supposed to be able to function. I had a mom that was a pharmacist, and she was like, I remember her saying, I'm dosing people and not sleeping at night.
Right.
Like, that's not safe.
And there's people that work in factories. They're operating heavy machinery. Mm-hmm. And we're just like, you got to go back to work, man. Right. Work. You got to work. It's America, man. If you're not working, you're nobody.
I mean, we could tell stories all day long about, moms in our society that are going back to work early and with no support and, no maternity leave. And it's just insane. And it's just not getting better.
And remember, we did that episode on the first week we did the World Breastfeeding Week episode. We were talking about, what was it? Norway?
Oh, I think,
somewhere where they had like, what was it? I don't even remember. Like 2 years of maternity. There's something ridiculous. Like, I mean, something ridiculously beautiful. Where it was just like, you just get it, like paid maternity leave for this time.
Yeah.
And in Canada, it's like a year or something. But you don't like, you're not, your body is not healed. Your baby is not, you're up all night. You're up all day. Like, that's not doable. And then we have all these people that are like, oh, I can't keep up. I can't do it. And it's like, well, you need to keep up, man. It's like, this is not. And then we come down on people for not being able to handle it. It's like, no, this is undoable.
And the thing that gets me, like, mothers are ridiculously brilliant, right? And they're like, why is everybody telling me to breastfeed it, that it's the best thing for my baby, yet I have no support and I have to go back to work and I have to pump and I have to wash all the stuff and I have to deal with the daycare and I have to drive back and forth and you're right. Why are we yelling at mothers to breastfeed and to breastfeed your baby, and it's the best thing for your baby, and don't you want the best thing for your baby? Yet we're not helping them with this. Why are we doing that?
No, and I think that's a really good point, because we do that with formula too. We criticize people for using formula. We criticize people for using Cry It Out. And I don't like Cry It Out. I don't. But when we start focusing on individual parents and blaming them for things, we miss the key point to all of this, which is that people are trying to function in the society that's not really functionable. Mm-hmm. People are trying to get sleep. We need to focus our attention higher on society.
Right.
And the expectations and this crappy maternity leave and, all of these things that are making people are forced. People feel forced and backed into a corner to do these things. Mm-hmm. And that's the next one on our list, which is aggressive formula marketing. Oh. That's another thing, is like, if you even make it out of the hospital without having a formula fed baby, that's kind of a miracle.
It seriously is. And I can give you the stats on that one too, because the amount of babies that are being supplemented before day 3 of their life is like 25%.
Yep. Mine was.
A quarter of the babies being born in the hospital are being supplemented with formula before they go home. A quarter of them.
Yeah, and this is like a big deal. Like, formula companies, they give huge amounts of money to hospitals. Mm-hmm. They give huge amounts of samples of formula to hospitals. They want hospitals to be giving parents the formula so that they end up having to use it just to mess up breastfeeding. I mean, they are aggressively and intentionally destroying breastfeeding relationships at the start to get customers to sell their product. I mean, when I was in the hospital, they gave us it was like one of those garbage hefty bags of formula. I was like, oh my God, it's so nice of them to give us all of this free formula, to get us started. And I get home and of course we're using it because they told me to, because my baby was hungry and my milk wasn't coming in because I was induced and all these things that were just bad. It was just wrong. And so when I finally figured this out, I was like, well, wait a minute. That wasn't nice. They were trying to make me a customer.
Exactly.
That hefty bag of formula, that's like pennies to them. They weren't giving me a gift. They're like, it's a bribe. And the hospitals get huge amounts of money, and the doctors get fancy meals, and they get wined and dined by these companies. They do anything and everything they can to sell that to you.
I mean, it's just like any, pharmaceutical. We see that all the time, that people are so pissed off at the pharmaceutical companies and the money involved and big pharma, blah, blah, blah. And, we know that the pharmaceutical companies completely charm the hospitals, the doctors. They want to use their product. They want them to use their medications. They have this great new thing, da, da, da. This is no different than that.
Well, and the formula companies are big pharma, right?
Yeah.
That they're owned by big pharma.
Right.
So this is really, one big thing that is full of products that they want you to buy.
And they will market it. The one that kills me is, this is the supplement for the breastfed baby. And I have it says it right on the box, a supplement for the breastfed baby. This is the kind of formula. If you need to supplement your breastfed baby, this is the formula you need for that. And people believe that, because I've had moms say to me, oh, but I'm supplementing him with that formula that says it's best for the breastfed baby. It's all the same.
It's all marketing.
It's all marketing.
It's just marketing. And if you're listening and and you chose to use formula and all the stuff and you still choose to use it, fine. We're not talking to you.
Right. No.
We're talking about we're talking about these companies that are preying on new parents and trying to destroy the breastfeeding relationship that they are trying to have to sell their product. And that is a huge barrier. I mean, it is a barrier that there was no way around that in my mind in the hospital. I mean, I could have just continued to say no, but they were like, your baby's starving. Your baby is crying because he's hungry. Well, if I kept saying no, I felt like they were going to call DCFS or something.
Right.
So you're just you're forced to do it. You're like, oh my God. Okay. Well, and also I was like, oh my God, he's starving. Oh my God, he's crying because he's hungry. That's insane. Oh my God. Don't let him starve.
Right.
Hurry. Get him some food.
Hurry. Somebody get over there and cook him a burger.
Yeah. Right.
It is. They really make you feel like that though.
Yeah.
And the other thing,
it's all, yeah. And I don't even, sorry, go ahead.
I know we get so passionate about this stuff. But the other thing I think people don't realize is that the formula they give you in the hospital they're not using that one because it's the best one on the market. They're using that one because that's who won the bid. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, with, I worked for WIC for a long time. And I remember asking them one time, well, why do we have Enfamil instead of Similac? Why is that the kind that we give away, with WIC or whatever it was at the time? And they were like, because that's what came in as the lowest bidder. It had nothing to do with, this is the best formula for your baby. They are giving you what they have, what they received, and it was probably some kind of deal made with that specific company, not because it's the best one. It is all marketing. And I mean, I think the bottom line, honestly, is that, I think when you were saying, oh, how nice, the hospital's giving me all this food. They're trying to get us off to a great start. They're giving me all this formula. I think they are. But they were also duped by the formula companies.
That's what I was going to say before. That's exactly what I was going to say while we were both talking at the same time. is that even the nurses and the doctors aren't the nurses and the doctors aren't the ones preying on you. They think this is normal. They think this is good.
Mm-hmm.
like you said, they're duped by the formula companies too. They're like, this is great. This is like, this is perfect for people. This is going to help your hospital. It's going to help everybody. And, they're just like, oh yeah, okay, here's what you do. I mean, like there was nothing there. It was just normal.
Yeah.
It was totally just normal for her to come in with it. And she was like, you just give a little bit. It's fine. Just give a little bit. All he needs is a little bit. Okay.
And I
was just, she was, and I was like, well, what about breastfeeding? She's like, oh, it's fine. It'll work out. It's fine. Okay.
I think even the like the formula reps, that go to the offices and stuff, like they're also part of that whole, they're just duped into it too. It's a job that they do, and they were told this is what this is what we're doing. This is why it's so wonderful for the babies, blah, blah, blah. I remember there was one day at the peds office that, and I'm only there in the mornings, and the formula rep would come in the afternoon, and one of the nurses came and they're like, oh yeah, the formula rep wanted to talk to you and tell you about the new I'm like, no, I am the lactation consultant. I don't want to talk to them. I can't even like part of my ethics, I'm not supposed to be talking to them.
Right.
Why would they think I want to talk to them? They have no idea.
No, and so, and to go even higher, the pharmaceutical companies have control over the medical curriculum.
Oh, I didn't
so
know
that the doctors are like, they create it.
Oh my God.
They're like, so the doctors are like learning this stuff. And of course they believe what's coming from this trusted resource of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But the formula, I mean, the breastfeeding stuff in medical curriculum isn't accidentally left out. Come on. It is intentionally left out.
It's really crazy.
And they learn every single thing about formula. Everything. You can ask a doctor what the ingredients are in formula. They can name all 100 off the top of their heads.
100.
They learn all. There's a lot of ingredients in there.
There is. It's all crap. It's really, I mean, I don't know. It's such a, and then society is really like, I don't even know how I want to say this, has like pitted us against each other. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
and that's kind of where you get like the whole mommy wars.
The mommy wars. Like, oh yeah, we got to go to war. Let's, you know what? We need to stop with each other. That's like when the big companies and they're like, you need to stop taking such long showers. It's creating, climate change. No, it's not. Showers are not. It's the corporations, like formula companies, with all the plastic and the unbelievably high amounts of water that it takes to make it. You can't even count. I don't even know what that number is. It's got so many zeros after it. I don't even know what it is. Like that's the fighting, the mommy wars, all of that stuff is just a distraction.
It is, yeah, it's a distraction. We don't.
Why don't we talk more after a word from our sponsors?
Perfect.
Today's episode is brought to you by Milky's. Breastfeeding might seem like it goes on forever, but before you know it, this will be over. Someday it will be a distant memory. What if you could preserve this precious time in a personalized memento? Milky's jewelry is handcrafted by an artist named Cassia. Just a few drops of your liquid gold undergoes a unique process of preservation and then made into stunning keepsakes such as the Unity ear studs, over the moon necklace, or many, many other styles that can be seen at milkys.us. Cassia is a breastfeeding mother herself and passionate about our choice to breastfeed whenever, wherever, and however we want. Besides your breast milk, strands of hair and umbilical cord can be incorporated into your jewelry. Your order can also include a birthstone and a personalized engraved tag. Your intimate relationship immortalized in a keepsake, the most personal jewelry you'll ever own. Each piece tells a unique story. Visit milkys.us, that's milkies.us, and enter code BADASS in your shopping cart to receive $15 off of your purchase. And today's episode is also brought to you by Original Sprout. Original Sprout carries safe, effective, and pediatrician-tested shampoos, conditioners, styling and body care products produced and packed in California, USA. The leave-in conditioner's lightweight formula is made with nourishing emollients and arnica for split ends, making it ideal for detangling and eliminating frizz from damaged hair. The Miracle Detangler is perfect for making combing hair easier for baby, toddlers, children, and anyone with long hair. The rosemary can help prevent lice, too. All of Original Sprouts products are paraben and phthalate-free, vegan, and cruelty-free. Their proprietary formulas contain nourishing extracts from fruits, vegetables, and flowers that the whole family can enjoy. They are not just for babies anymore. Check out the entire line at originalsprout.com and use code BADASS for 25% off of your order. All of these promo codes, the direct sponsor links can be found at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, along with all of our breastfeeding resources, all of our other episodes, the show notes about this particular episode where you can find links and further information about what we talked about. You can also find information about scheduling your very own lactation consultation with Diane.
Yes, that's me.
And I have our shout out of the week.
All right.
The shout out of the week this week goes to Southeast Michigan IBCLCs of Color. You can find them on Instagram at SE. Okay, hold on. It's a whole bunch of abbreviations. So it's SEMICH, so Southeast Michigan, SEMICH, and then IBCLC of Color. This is a diverse, multi-talented team of international board-certified lactation consultants, and you can find them at SEMI, so Southeast Michigan, SEMI, IBCLCofcolor.org. And they say this collective was formed out of necessity. As an organization, we endeavor to meet the unique needs of mentorship, fellowship, and professional growth by IBCLCs of color in the Southeast Michigan region. So that's awesome. If you're in the Southeast Michigan region and you're an IBCLC of color, this is an awesome group to kind of, join up with.
Or you want to be an IBCLC.
Or you want to be. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But also, even if you're not in that area, follow their Facebook page or their Instagram because they have got a lot of cool information here. They do a lot of classes and online stuff too. So it's a great resource for you. And that's all I got.
That's awesome.
And so should we go on to our next barrier?
Yes.
Which is the sexualizing of breasts.
Yes, that's a big one.
So you made it out of the hospital, which was, your first miracle. Then you made it through maternity leave. That's your second miracle. And so then you're like, oh my God, I'm breastfeeding. It's amazing. It was so hard. Because people are like, oh my God, breastfeeding's so hard. Why do we think it's so hard?
Oh, it's so hard.
And you're like, oh, something so natural should come natural. We're like, no, but it's not. It's natural, but it's learned. Sure, it's learned. But there's also so many barriers that make it so much harder than it needs to be.
Right. We don't accept it. It's not just like, oh, okay.
Right. So now you're breastfeeding. You made it through all of that. And then you're like, okay, I'm breastfeeding. People are like, ew. That's your boob. Put it away. You shouldn't have your boob out. That's private. That's for your husband.
Yes. And this is I really think that feeding your baby is a private thing. And you shouldn't be doing that outside of your own home.
Right. That's garbage. We should all be breastfeeding on the streets all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, I know we've mentioned this before on the podcast, like how, Victoria's Secret does their whole freaking lingerie
their semi-annual
walk
sale.
In the catwalk on TV. It's on primetime TV
with their
women
wings
in their underwear with wings on, parading around, and it's on primetime TV. But you cannot nurse your baby, and without somebody saying something to you. People are popping popcorn and watching these women on TV.
Yep,
and that's okay. There's
and you know what? It is okay. It's fine. Whatever. I don't care. Those are awesome. I want wings too.
But then don't say that this baby that is nursing, you can't even see anything.
Exactly. Yeah. The whole thing, the whole obsession, the sexualizing, the fetishizing, and the regulating of breasts in this country is something that pisses me off and that I can go on about for years and years and years and have gone
It's
on about
really
for years and years and years.
Didn't you build your career on that?
I did.
Yeah. But we all pick something that we like to.
Right. I picked boobs.
And it's, well, me too, for the most, but
Right.
it really is, it's insane. If you really think about it, like if you really break it down, it's insane.
It is insane. It is a sign of an extremely sick society.
Mm-hmm.
It's sick what we do to breasts. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's that one. What about this kind of ties into the formula stuff, but what about just in general? So, now you're going to you're at home or you're whatever, you're breastfeeding and you are attending your, the checkups, the doctor's appointments and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you're just getting like crappy information from your doctor. Just like the misinformation and the bad information that comes from society and from medical professionals. And that is another huge barrier, which is all wrapped up. Sorry.
Unsupportive.
Yeah. And wrong. Mm-hmm. No, you're, 6, no, your baby's 3 months now. Your baby needs to have formula because your breast milk doesn't have enough fat in it, which is all just comes down from the same line of crap from the formula companies. They've really, really done a number on this country. I mean, breastfeeding was practically eradicated. Mm-hmm. And they had full monopoly on everybody. And we still believe all this stuff. We still believe that our breast milk isn't enough. We still believe that at some point, the baby needs formula or cow's milk.
Yep.
And that, at some point it doesn't have enough nutrients. That, if you breastfeed longer, that it's just water. It's not doing anything. It's just for your own needs. Your child's going to have psychological problems if they're breastfeeding into toddlerhood.
Yes. And you're selfish because you're still doing it.
Right. Right. It's all about you.
I have actually had people ask me like, so when do I start formula? Because they don't realize that they never have to use it. And I'm like, you don't ever have to use it if you don't want to. But don't I use it at some point? One of the things that I always like hear coming out of doctors' offices that is, I just can't understand is, we need to give the baby more calories. So we have to, we have to give breast milk, or we have to supplement with formula, or we have to add formula because we want to boost the calorie. It's like, how do you know how many calories is in that breast milk? You don't know how many calories is in that breast milk. You have no idea. But that's the problem, because we don't trust the process. And you can know, well, the only reason why you know how many calories are in formula is because it says it on the can. But we have known, because I worked with WIC and I saw those recalls coming through, that stuff gets recalled all the time for not being accurate information on the can. I bet people didn't know that. But
well, and your boob isn't a can, and every boob in every breast milk doesn't have the same amount of calories in it because every baby is different.
Exactly. But they always say, oh, but there's not enough calories in your breast milk. How do you know that? Did you measure it? Did you take a sample and measure how many calories are in there? Like, how can you say? But that is the first. I mean, what is that going to do to a new mother? You're telling her breast milk isn't good enough for that baby. She was good enough to grow the baby, right? But she's not good enough to nourish the baby. Is that it? Like, come on.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
All right, so that's another barrier that we've all experienced.
Yes, in some way, shape, or form, we've all experienced that.
All right.
We just kind of take it. Like, we just take it.
Yeah.
Go, oh, okay.
Well, because people believe it. It's like, my doctor's telling me this. It must be right. Why would my doctor tell me something that isn't wrong? It's a doctor. I
hear that all the time. But my doctor said.
Yeah.
They don't know. And then they don't admit that they don't know, and they won't refer you to somebody who does. That's the other barrier with it.
Right. Well, and so the last one I have on my list, even though as we went through this, we know that there's a million more. But this one really gets me. And this one is, people are going to be like, well, that's not really breastfeeding related. But it is. It is. The bed sharing fear mongering. Mm-hmm. Bed sharing is directly related to breastfeeding. Breastfeeding through the night and getting sleep and keeping that, that breastfeeding relationship, that on-demand breastfeeding through the night is something that is very closely tied to breastfeeding success. And there's so much bed sharing. There's so much bed sharing or co-sleeping, even maybe just co-sleeping. So co-sleeping is kind of like an umbrella term. So if you have like a crib in the room, or you have like a sidecar crib or a bassinet next to the bed, this is all co-sleeping. Bed sharing is having the baby inside the bed. And there is so much, this is how humans have functioned for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, if you sleep with your baby, you're going to kill your baby. And that is not true. And it is actually, very, very connected and tied to successful breastfeeding.
I mean, when do moms really, really want to give a bottle or really, really want to supplement? In the middle of the night when they're tired.
Yeah. Because they've been told that their baby needs to be, the safest place for the baby is down the hall. And, they're like, I don't feel like going down there. I'm tired. I got to go to work tomorrow.
Right.
I had my baby 4 weeks ago, but I got to go to work tomorrow.
Got to keep
and
my
so
health
that's
insurance.
how it happens.
Yep, absolutely.
Instead of having the baby right there so that you can get a little bit more sleep, then it's like, oh God, I can't handle this. And no, you can't. There's nothing wrong with you. If you feel like you can't handle all this, there is nothing wrong with you. There is something wrong with the system.
The place that I see it happening a lot is when, in those first early days where babies just are really unsettled when they're not with their mom. And moms are like, I can't put him down. They won't sleep unless I'm holding him. He only wants to sleep on us. He only wants to be with us. And people will say, the doctors, society, everybody will say, you cannot sleep with your baby. You can't put your baby with you. But they don't offer these families anything else to help them, which is really unfair. It's like, if you're going to direct how I parent my child, then you better give me resources to help me. And they don't do that. They just say, no, you cannot do this. Boom, done. Good luck to you.
It's true. Yeah. No, yeah. There's no help, no nothing. You need to do this, you need to do that. If you do this, it's bad. If you do that, it's bad. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
And no wonder that people are just like quitting breastfeeding. Right.
And the problem lies when people do things in secret and don't have the right information. That's where we have a problem, Like, it's ridiculous how the support is lacking in our society for new families. We've really, really let our families down.
Seriously. Poor families, poor babies, poor parents. What a downer of an episode. But seriously, if you are like feeling like you're not making it, feeling like you're struggling, it's not you. It's everyone else.
Right. And like, that's kind of why we do this. Every once in a while we got to throw a downer of an episode in there. But like, we do this because we want you to know, like, this is not you. This is society.
Yeah.
You are not the only one going through this either. We are not set up to succeed with this.
No, we set people up to fail.
Mm-hmm.
We do not set people up to succeed at breastfeeding.
We don't.
So thanks for listening. Hopefully next week will be a happier episode.
It will be. And we're going to work on fixing that societal thing. So.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we'll be right back with that.
Yeah, we'll be back with that. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.